Okay. Has anybody figured out their love language or getting closer to it? Okay, so I would like to read you a testimony written by Linda Greenberg. And I think most of you know the Greenbergs, Michael and Linda. Unfortunately, they are not able to share this with us in reality because they both have COVID. So, but Linda's testimony was written up in the Testimony magazine several years ago, and I just wanted to read it to you because it really speaks to what we're going to talk about today, or what we are talking about. The title is Marriage, Divided We Fall, Resolving Conflict Before It Becomes Division. One day, my husband and I chatted over our morning coffee. His tone suddenly changed. I responded, 5 minutes ago, I was precious. He stared at me with a puzzled look. His words hadn't been cruel, but his tone was sharp and my feelings were hurt. I had unintentionally said something that offended him, and his harsh tone lashed back at me. When we were first married, we expected our marriage to be loving, peaceful, and alive with passion. But once we settled into married life, our peace was not always intact. Although our hearts still overflowed with love and passion, our relationship had changed. We were no longer dating, we were in the trenches together. As we strained under the pressures of life, we offended and irritated each other over little things. When we hurt each other's feelings, we would hold on to our hurts until one of us apologized, usually the one most desperate for peace. During those periods of division, our thoughts toward each other were negative, and we felt anything but loving. We assumed these quarrels were normal, and that as long as we made out and truly loved each other, our marriage was a success. Our views were challenged one day by a pastor's sermon on the dangers of allowing strife in marriage. He referenced the Bible verse, James 3:16, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." When we allow strife, he explained, we open the door to evil and destruction. It's like allowing someone to deposit termites in our home. In time, there will be severe damage to the foundation of our home. At first, we judged his standards as too high and unrealistic. Everybody has tiffs. We're just human, we realized. The pastor went on to say, when we become disconnected through conflict, negative thoughts flood our minds. Our feelings toward each other become bitter rather than sweet. These thoughts and feelings eat away at our respect, loyalty, and trust. Even though we make amends and forgive each other, some damage is done every time. A protective wall begins to grow between our hearts, and over time, our unity is lost. By the end of his talk, we began to reevaluate our standards. We hadn't considered our clashes as destructive to our relationship and took them for granted as part of normal married lives. We were unaware that we were opening a door to evil and allowing unseen damage to eat away at the foundation and unity of our marriage. As we grasped the seriousness of allowing conflict to have even the slightest place in our relationship, we realized that any amount of strife was dangerous. We knew there would always be times when we would disagree on issues and would have to discuss and compromise with each other. But strife and division involved hurt feelings, anger, offense, which led to a break in our unity. So with our new outlook, we determined to make drastic changes to eliminate strife completely. Our next challenge was to figure out how to do that. We analyzed the kinds of issues that put us at odds with each other and examined the things that irritated and offended us. Although we tried to eliminate spats completely, we failed time after time. We became discouraged. Our biggest problem seemed to be how to end the rift once it began. After many failed attempts, we focused on the culprit, which was our pride. We realized that once we became upset, our pride jumped right in and blocked us from ending our spat. Feeling wronged by each other, we wanted to hear an apology before we felt able to forgive and make things right. Our emotions were in charge. We were stuck like a car in the mud, holding on to our hurt feelings until someone was willing to apologize. Committed to our new standard, we tried to swallow our foolish pride in order to restore harmony quickly, but we still failed more often than not. One day, our emotions flared, and we were about to fall into our old pattern. Suddenly, my husband said, "We can't afford to have division. I'm sorry for my part." I thought, "Your part? You mean you're not taking full responsibility for this?" I guess this is hitting home, right? But I realized he was right. We couldn't afford to have friction. Our unity was more important than justifying our feelings. I took a deep breath and said, "You're right. We can't afford division. I'm sorry for my part, too." As we embraced, all those hurt feelings melted away. Our conflict was over as fast as it began. It didn't matter who was at fault. It mattered more that we took a stand against division and bolted that door shut. We continued to use this strategy for many years, and it works every time. A friend who tried it said, "It was hard at first, but it got easier every time we did it. It really works. Our anger just melts away." We can't afford division. I'm sorry for my part. These words have become significant keys to our peaceful, loving relationship. Pretty good, eh? So now we're going to watch a little skit on what we bring into the marriage and why we have some of the conflicts we do. So have fun with this.